Terminated from job for showing up intoxicated. How do I approach this in future interviews? As someone who has done a lot of retail hiring, if an applicant held a job for 9 years, congratulations, you're hired before the interview. Seriously, we don't check references. Ain't no time for that. Frame it as a health issue that has since been resolved. They don't need to know details, and as a health issue it is protected information in most places. But definitely keep up with a rehab program and therapy because addiction is a beast. Good luck. Don't tell them the truth. I'm a big believer in telling the truth and letting people know exactly who you are. You don't have to like me, but at least you can respect I'm not a sneaky liar. I'm 38 now, and I've been fired from lots of jobs. Looking back at everything with 10-foot view, I should've lied 100 of the time. Even recently when I quit my job, I gave him 30 days notice cause he was a family friend and I knew I was going to be like 2 weeks off at that point, so might as well tell him to rather than quit and surprise him. He replaced me in 6 days and told me to stop coming in, which really fucked me financially. You had a mutual parting of the ways. New management came in and wanted to move things in a different direction. They moved you from a customer-facing role to an inventory control role or whatever. Make it up due to the new company software. You really didn't like the new job, and the owner gave you the option to resign and collect unemployment thanks to your loyalty. He is a great guy. You really appreciate everything he's done for you. But it's time to move in a different direction. Check out our career advice. At the time, I was struggling with a health issue that impaired my ability to do my job. I'm happy to say that I am well again and looking forward to a healthy future. It is entirely honest. Addiction is a type of illness, and it did impair your ability to do your work. Now it sounds like you are well again and intend to keep it that way. The specific details of your illness are more prejudicial than probative. You should look at the Stop Drinking sub. Can you be fired from work for diseases? Aren't they supposed to put you through a program and keep your job after completion? Show up to all future interviews intoxicated. Just roll with it as the new you. Most employers have a policy to not provide information beyond basic info like that you worked there between such and such dates, and maybe salary, in order to avoid any possible liability for preventing you from being hired in the future. Either way, there's no reason to give a new employer more info than they need. Either they don't find out, or they do, which won't be worse than telling them. Just say you were laid off, position eliminated. That's all anyone needs to know. Maybe depending on your relationship with your supervisor. If you think they are chill, I would talk to them and explain your situation and that you're trying to turn things around. And if a new employer calls, not to mention the reason you were let go. But I'm not sure that's even necessary. Good luck. If you're in the US, then alcoholism is recognized and protected under the Americans with Disabilities Act. The short answer is don't tell them. It's illegal for them to ask. The long answer is you're actually granted a lot of benefits because of this, and you probably should have checked into a treatment program and applied for FMLA. It would have protected your first job. I hope you're able to get sober. Best of luck. You have no obligation to tell them this information. If you feel that you can get it under control, and it won't be an issue at a new place of employment, then I would simply omit the reason. If you are looking for a simple retail job, as you mentioned, I don't think they will really care too much. They may ask you why you were no longer there, and it would be up to you to share what you wish about that. But if you have them as a reference, and they contact that reference, I do not believe they can legally say you were fired, but they can indicate that they would not rehire you. That right there may be a bit harder to deal with. I wouldn't even mention it to them. I would even lie and say you still work there, so they do not contact them if they are looking for references. Along with the advice many are giving you, you plead ignorance as to the real reason. However, in actuality, you probably are ignorant to the real reason. Depending on where you live, things can vary. In Canada and Ontario specifically, there are codes for different terminations. While this incident was the real cause of your termination, what the company lists can be much different. In Ontario, if the employer cites something too specific, they can be obligated to prove the case if the Ministry of Labor gets involved. So often they do not list specifics. They would not know blood alcohol level, or if you attend treatments, or anything like that. This means that people often do not know what reason is cited for a termination. More importantly, do get help and move forward. This should not hurt you forever. Mistakes happen and we aim to get better. Good luck. I would ethically avoid jobs that involve operating heavy machinery, forklift, driving a company truck. If you were in a substance abuse program, you should consider this. Ask them for advice. I've called in drunk to my job several times. Luckily, my bosses we cool about it. If the topic comes up, you can mention that the experience was a turning point and that you've taken meaningful steps to prevent it from happening again. One person gave you wonderful advice to explain it as they told me my position was eliminated. And that was that. That's all there is to it. Don't psyche yourself out and go taking a job for less than you are worth because you are ashamed. Employers need people, that is a fact, and good people are hard to come by. What is of more concern is your issues with drinking. I would seriously suggest you try attending one AA meeting if you have never done, so it is amazing what goes on in those rooms. I can speak from experience. Best of luck and good health, my friend. You don't tell them, make up something else. All they can do is call your old company's HR department and they will ask if you are rehirable, probably not, which will be a big knock, can't lie. Eventually you will apply to somewhere that doesn't even check in with your old company, and you'll be fine. Getting fired from a job you worked at for 9 years is unfortunately a big deal as you cannot use them as a reference anymore. That's why all the quiet quitting bullshit you see on here is very misguided. Considering this was all last week, I'd suggest finding a part-time job and spending the other time working on getting sober and applying for positions equivalent to the one you had. By the time you sober up, you will have hopefully found something and be ready to go. Right now you have the motivation to quit drinking, but motivation fades. You have to find the discipline and determination to stop. Get a part-time job at Home Depot, get your shit together before you take on another full-time role. If you don't, the cycle will repeat. Best of luck, op. I got fired for something very similar soon after my 21st birthday. Just say you were lit, Gothy didn't need you anymore, and leave it at that. If they dig and find out you were lying, then you were right back where you started and will try again at the next place. Not everyone contacts previous employers, so you aren't guaranteed to be fucked. If you're going to go into a regular, all-retail position stocking shelves, they aren't going to call. It will be a moot point. Good luck with the sobriety. I hope it lasts.